Agriculture is one of Northern Ireland's oldest and largest industries, employing almost 48,000 people. It's a vital part of the local economy, a £1 billion business. But just who are the farmers behind it? Following on from one of the wettest years on record, we've charted the highs and lows over the last 12 months. Along the way, we've gained an intimate insight into the farming families who are working harder than ever to secure a vibrant future for their businesses.
Don't be shy.
It's January, and at 6 a.m. in Omagh, it's business as usual for dairy farmer Drew McConnell. Drew took over the running of his father's farm 15 years ago, and together with his wife Valerie, they run a dairy and suckler beef enterprise with a dairy herd of 150 Holsteins.
We're doing a bit over 9,000, up as far as 9,200 at times. 9,200 litres is what a cow gives in about 305 days. That's averages out about 30 litres a day. We milk twice a day. Ideally, some of the higher yielding cows would suit 3 times a day, but there's not enough hours in that day. That's the boss coming now. We better look busy.
Here to remind you about milk.
Milk? Yeah, you want milk? Yeah, for calves. Okay, we'll do our best now. 9 calves to feed. You never leave work really, but it's great to have somebody that can relate to the pressures you're under as well, you know. So.
I suppose it's with more mechanisation and everything, it's got easier for women to farm now. And more acceptable as well.
And I used to think I was the pretty face of farming.
Not even, dear.
There's been a sharp increase recently in the number of female farmers across the UK, but growing up as the daughter of a dairy farmer, Valerie has always been well used to the early starts.
These calves have only been here for a day or two, so I start them off in teats before I transfer them to a bucket. I like to see them drinking well. And then once they've had their milk, we get fresh water every day. So I'll give them that when I come back. I need to go now.
With already a few hours' work done on the farm, mother of 3 Valerie takes a break to fit in the school run. Drew's parlour is an example of how technology and software are playing a key role in farm management.
Each cow carries a collar, and that collar has an individual number relating to the cow. At the minute, 614 here is given 10.8. Well, she's about halfway through her milking. That's all fed into the memory of the computer. And depending on the amount of milk she gives, she's fed either in the parlour or out of parlour, fed to yield. We've all sorts of wee warning lights. There's nothing on here at the minute, but if I programmed into the computer that a cow got treated with a medicine, for example, this wee light would come on and tell me that her milk can't go into the tank. These are all management tools that we try to process in our wee brains and put to the best use we can to manage the herd as efficiently as possible, really. If you're not efficient, you won't survive any longer. There's a good future for dairy farmers if you're efficient, and if you're not, you won't survive. Milk isn't the only thing cows produce in large quantities.
The morning milking takes 3 hours and then half an hour for washing up.
That's it for another morning. Start again in about 8 hours' time. And tomorrow, and the next day, and every day for the year. But it's always good when you get to the end of it too. Roll on breakfast.
For arable farmers, January has been a washout, and no more so than for Richard Kane, whose family have farmed under the shadow of the Benevena mountain near Limavady for over 100 years, producing crops of rapeseed, wheat, barley and potatoes.
We're situated up on the north coast. We're about half a mile from Lough Foyle on reclaimed ground. It's been reclaimed about 300 years. Although it's starting to go back into water again now, I think. This field you can see in front of us here, we've sowed it all, and you can see a line where we sowed some, then it got wet and we didn't get in for another month and sowed the rest. But in the meantime, the slugs and the leather jackets ate that whole part of the field because it was so wet. So it's all lost apart to that green line. We'll probably save that.
Richard farms 650 acres in the Limavady area, including approximately 100 acres of oilseed rape, which he originally grew for biofuel.
Prices were very low 5 or 6 years ago. Whenever I started biodiesel, that's why biodiesel looked so good, because oilseed rape was only £150 a tonne. Now oilseed's sitting at £400 a tonne. So it's actually become now a main crop, and that's why we've put on more of it.
And more of it is certainly needed, as the Cairns are now realising the growing popularity of rapeseed oil for cooking. Nearly 80 miles away in Saintfield, January is an anxious time for goat farmer Jason Kelly, as his goats are getting close to kidding.
This is the time where you have a bit of peace, you can get a bit of different other wee things read up and pens ready for them coming, because once they start kidding and start coming through the parlour, it's a lot of work being with them, and you don't have time for anything other wee maintenance problems then. There come the times when they're really close, you can see goats, you know, within the straw, taking themselves away off into a wee corner, making themselves a wee bed.
And on the Kelly's goat farm, breeding is done naturally.
This is the daddy of all these kids. These are his wee friends, but he's the main boyo, so he is, for just the breeding that's in him. He comes from a very good background. So hopefully when these kids come through, you'll see it in them with the milk, you know, that they're able to produce through the parlour.
Jason is a third-generation farmer, and recently he and his brother Adam have diversified, using their goat's milk to produce artisan soft white goat's cheese. But to make it a more cost-effective business, they need to be able to produce the cheese themselves on site.
This is going to be our processing room for our cheese, all being well. So we've put a little extension on to act as a raw room. So this is where the raw milk's going to come into, and we'll make our cheese in here. For us to be making a sustainable income on goat milk, we need to be milking, what, about 200 goats, something like that?
200 plus. It takes a brave while to get what you would call a good milking goat, so making the cheese makes it more worthwhile of a profit end of things.
Trying to add a little bit of value to the product, rather than sending it to a creamery and letting them do it. Hopefully with the cheese room coming on, that'll be the end of the investment as such, and we can start to pay some of the bills then. That's the plan.
Farmers are frequently reinvesting any profits back into the farms to secure the long-term future of their businesses. Familiar faces to Rare Breed, the Wilson family from Fermanagh are hoping the snow doesn't deter potential buyers attending the annual Pedigree Hereford show and sale in Dungannon.
It's pretty slack today now, it's quiet. A bad, old, wet, slushy day, and it's early yet too. A lot of the people don't come to the show part, they just come to the sale. Everybody that's coming here to buy a bull has a day's work to do before they come.
This is a crucial business opportunity that can set a benchmark for the rest of the year's prices. There's just enough time for last-minute preparations that could make all the difference to judges and buyers. And it's important that 15-year-old handler Jack looks the part too.
Jack, he likes the show, and he's getting very tall. You need just a wee person to keep the size of the bull. The smaller the person is, the bigger the bulls.
The show gives everybody a chance to get a good look at what's on offer ahead of the sale, but the results are disappointing.
Last, I'm afraid. Not fully deserved, but you have to take it, the rough with the smooth, and sure we'll see how it goes. Another one going in now.
The second bull is in the 18-month-old category, and David has high hopes this one will top the class. This time, the Wilson's bull comes second.
A bit better that time, but still disappointing. Still disappointing. Even the bull's mad about it.
The Wilson's confidence has been knocked ahead of the sale.
Good days and bad days, and it's up to the buyers now.
It's time for January's Hereford sale to start. Cash flow and shed space will be seriously hit if David doesn't sell his bulls.
I'm nervous, all right. I'd like to sell them because I've still, 10 at home. And the longer I keep them, the more expensive they're going to get. I'm not going to get any extra, unless it's real bad. 2,000 will be the mark. I'll have to get over 2,000.
As David expected, prices are down on last year.
Farming with the bad year last year is low in confidence. Men just haven't got the money to spend. I'm happy enough. Sold the 2 bulls, and the price isn't fantastic, but it's the top price of the day. The one that was last in the class is the top price of the day. Generally, would wait and lead the bulls out for the buyers, give them a send-off and give them a luck penny and that sort of thing.
With each bull sold for over £2,500, it's been a worthwhile business outing for the Wilsons.
One went to Newtownards, the other one went to Ballymena. So they're bravely spread out, a long way from home, but we're going home with an empty trailer and get the work done at home and get a bit of a rest tonight.
Despite winter taking its firm grip across the country, for hill sheep and cattle farmer Harry Sinclair, based by the Sperrins, there's still no place like home.
Been quite a number of generations since the Sinclairs came to the Six Towns. We start along the Meola River at about 400 feet above sea level, and we run up to the top of the hill at over 1,000 feet above sea level. So we have a big variance in land type along that distance. It was very much a mixed farm way back a generation ago, where there had been a small number of milk cows, there had been beef cows, there would have been pigs, there would have been hens. There was a mixture of everything at that stage, but generally over the years most farms have actually turned more specialised, and we've went down the beef and sheep end of things in this farm.
As president of the Ulster Farmers Union, Harry's job means travelling for much of the year, ensuring that the voices of farmers here are heard in Europe. But today he's enjoying a rare opportunity for stockmanship.
Farming's a way of life as well as a business, and it's always great to get back onto the open spaces and the peace and the quiet. This morning we're out checking the ewe lambs, just checking how they're doing now whenever the ground's covered with snow. These are for replacement ewes. Our policy in the farm, we don't breed the ewe lambs the first year because we put them to the hill on the first summer and let them grow out. They're quite healthy. They're skipping through the snow. There's still enough grass around the hedges. They're doing okay. It's just good sometimes to get a walk out in real life again. I haven't personally been up with these sheep for 3 weeks, and it's good actually to see them yourself. You always hear they're okay. My 2 sons will quite regularly come up and they report back that they're doing well, but it's always good to see for yourself.
Hill sheep are extremely hardy animals, but Harry's sons will have to do careful monitoring while he's away. If the snow gets any deeper, access to the stock may become impossible. 50 miles away in Moira, and John Tate's pig farm is also under snow. But for 5th generation farmer John, his birth to bacon unit is all indoors.
Daddy always finished fattening pigs, and really whenever I was 5, Daddy got his first sows and I would start breeding pigs. So probably been all my life really used to the pigs.
With rocketing feed costs and static prices for pork, the local pig industry is struggling, but John's determined to ride out the storm. His breeding programme means every week he must artificially inseminate 13 sows from his herd of 280.
That's Trevor. he gets called nannies, I think, but mostly it's Trevor. Come on, boy.
Trevor the teaser boar plays an important part in the house, helping trigger the sows into heat as they're held for a short period in the stalls.
It gives a different smell and stuff, helps to bring them on. Just to let them stand with the boar, they're releasing their eggs, and it gives more contact with the boar, the better. I try to stimulate the sow as natural as possible. That's why I put a sandbag on her back, and then I give the weight. You just screw it into up the hill till you get a lock. Whenever it locks firmly, that's it locked in the cervix. Then we just open the packet, put it on, fold it up right around and hook it. Then move on.
Failure to detect heat properly can lead to reduced farrowing rates and smaller litter sizes.
You can clearly see there with them that they stand to pressure. They stand to a lot of pressure like that, and you'd see the ears rising, and they would be a bit unrestless the way they're chewing, get on like that a wee bit too. But that's them coming into heat. So you know by that there she's not in heat for. She'll not stand any of the pressure or a boar or anything playing around or anything, so she'll maybe hopefully come on tonight. Come on, Trevor. Come on.
With AI, one boar can produce on average enough semen to cover 1,000 sows per year, meaning for farmers like John, it's money well spent.
Actually, I'm using Danish genetics now. We're getting good results. So we'll be getting 13.3, I think it was, born alive on average, so just unbelievable litters. The main problem is keeping the pigs alive, you know, nearly, but it's manageable. You'll be glad to get the odd week there with a sow with a small litter.
And so, with the morning's serving of sows at an end, Trevor the teaser's job is done until he's required to do exactly the same thing again in the evening.
He's got used to it now, I think he's all right. He's lucky, no touchy. He's probably stressed out. Oh, he gets a handy now. He doesn't be asked to do too much. Only a wee donder every morning and night. That's him happy now. He's got his feed.
It might be a freezing January, but things are hotting up in Kells for sheep farmers Hilary and Roger Bell, who have 600 ewes to scan to see if they're in lamb. It's an anxious time for the couple.
This is make or break for us today, so if there haven't enough lambs, we'll not be making any money next year.
The sheep flock on the Bells farm is largely comprised of Texel cross mules, well known for their lambing and mothering abilities.
Everything just runs all together, singles, doubles, triplets, fours. All we're doing at the minute is taking off the empties.
It's a case of all hands on deck today, including local vet students eager to learn. And 7-year-old daughter Emma is feeling particularly nervous about the results for one ewe.
This is Ellie. She is 2 years old, and I reared her since she was a lamb. She is getting scanned today, and I'm hoping that she will get 2 this year, because the last 2 years she has had 1.
Ellie is Emma's pet lamb. She's going into this with her 3rd cycle. So hopefully, fingers crossed, she's in lamb, or there could be a few tears at the end of the day.
Retired vet Liam has been scanning sheep for 18 years, and he can scan up to 140 ewes in an hour.
It's about 75 days, which is halfway through the pregnancy. I find is just a nice time to do them. I determine how many fetuses are there and mark the ewes accordingly, and send them out, all the pregnant ewes one way and the barren ewes out the other way. Animals can be fed according to what number of lambs they're carrying. Otherwise, the option would be feed everything well and waste a lot of food. And at, I suppose, £300 a tonne, you don't want to be wasting much nowadays. Here we have a body of a lamb here, and up here, a second one.
Basically, we need 2 lambs, 2 lambs per ewe. If a ewe's only going to rear 1 lamb, the money that we get for that 1 lamb will not cover the cost of keeping that ewe for the year. So it takes the second lamb for us being able to make money. Costs have went up as well. Meal has got very dear, fertiliser to grow grass has got very dear, diesel has got very dear. So all our costs have went up dramatically, and the price of our lamb has went down.
Ellie's next.
Ellie? This is Ellie. 1.
In we go. That's last one, Liam.
So, Ellie the ewe is saved from the marketplace. The scanning takes a good 5 hours and the results are immediate.
Quite disappointing, actually. The lambing percentage is 176. Not great, not disasters. I had quite a lot of empties. I had 50 empties, which is sort of 9%, which would be very high, which I was very disappointed about. Considering the year, we had a very wet year. We're not happy, but we're not really sad. So.
Super job.
It's the end of a long day for the Bells, but with lambing season just around the corner, life on the farm, like thousands of others across the country, will only get busier.